got like two heels going into the Super Bowl, right? So you've got like the LA Rams, who nobody likes because they basically got away with it during the game with the Saints.
Oh, and now I see your angle.
And you've got the Patriots, right? And nobody ever likes the Patriots. Sorry, J-Ro, nobody likes the Patriots.
I like the
You like the Patriots, that's fine. So, what I propose is that during the championship unveiling, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out, and you just get the glass shatters, and the crowd goes wild with this 100,000 seats. And he comes out, and he gives Roger Goodell a Stone Cold Stunner. He says, "Give me hell yeah, Stone Cold Stunner," and Roger Goodell dies.
And like we talked, live or die, I don't think Goodell could take a stutter.
I don't think he could either. But you know what he could take? He could take another episode of Headlock Talk.
And
that's right, ladies and gentlemen.
we're here.
That was a fantastic segue.
Oh, thank you, sir.
That was really
Yes,
well done.
we have arrived.
Well done.
Headlock Talk. This is episode 4. We've had to do some remixing, some repolishing.
Yes.
So if you listen to our first episode, we have retitled that the bonus pilot episode.
Yes.
So go back in time.
Check it out.
We
Yeah.
would love to see and hear from you guys and how you think about our pilot episode. But just real quick here, guys, we've got a sponsor here from Mr. Stephen Groody.
That's very true. It's very true. This episode of Headlock Talk is brought to you by Austin-based company Naturally Hemp's and their new line of CBD gummies. Let me just tell you, this is not your grandma's CBD. These gummies are made with 100% baked in pharmaceutical grade terpene and cannabinoid rich non-isolate based CBD. That's a huge mouthful, I get it. But what we're talking about here is the entourage effect. So basically with this type of CBD, you're going to get a stronger effect because you're combining multiple cannabinoids together as opposed to just CBD. So with this full spectrum CBD, or sometimes called CBD distillate, tends to be more potent and lasts longer. Some other brands may use a CBD isolate, which is honestly just really not as good as a CBD distillate, and they'll actually spray them on the gummies as opposed to baking them inside the gummies. So, it kind of can lead to, maybe this gummy not having as much CBD on it as its brethren or whatever.
So how's this different, Steven?
So with this one, with the Naturally Hemp's CBD distillate gummies, the CBD is going to be baked in, so you're getting the full dose with each gummy.
Fantastic.
Nice.
I personally use them for all kinds of things. I have hard time sleeping, so definitely use it for sleep aid. Also, I work in a warehouse, so muscle pain and stuff like that. They have 5 flavors that you can choose from. They have strawberry, green apple, lemon lime, watermelon, and an orange flavor that has 80 milligrams of vitamin C in it.
Nice.
It's delicious.
It is very delicious. We have
very
some right
delicious.
here. Don't know if you can hear this, but that is the
sound
of
That's the sound of gummies.
the sound of gummies, the sound of pain relief right there. So head over to your nearest Create a Sig vape shop and pick yours up today to see for yourself the difference Naturally Hemp's gummies can make in your life.
Well, and of course, back to Headlock Talk, some wrestling here, you guys. I guess what we need to start off the episode with is, it's a bit of an apology.
Yes.
So,
yes, it is.
last episode, we were kind of rough on somebody in particular. See, when we're in the heat of the moment here on this podcast, and when we were discussing these things as true passionate fans here of wrestling, sometimes we lose the forest from the trees. I think that we took a little bit out on one Mr. Lars Sullivan. His condition's a lot more serious than maybe what we had made it out to be on the last episode. So all the best to Lars Sullivan. I hope that we see him sooner rather than later, and it's on behalf of everyone here at Headlock Talk that we wish that for you, and that we apologize for anything that may have offended any. We immediately felt pretty bad about that after the show closed last time. So just a quick shout out, apologies, Lars, if you're listening, and everybody here at Headlock Talk is right behind you and wishing you a speedy recovery.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Well, a quick plug also, because after we recorded the last episode, we caught a little bit of NXT Blackpool, NXT Takeover UK Blackpool.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody has seen the NXT UK brand. It's pretty fantastic. I would say it's pretty close to what you would see on a normal North American NXT Takeover or an NXT show, just in general. Pete Dunne obviously is the champ there.
Nice. I like Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne's fantastic.
Pete Dunne has some insanely just really unique ring work, I think.
Yeah.
In the sense that nothing he does is overly, I don't know, like he doesn't have a lot of like huge big moments, but it's just extreme technicality throughout the entire match, as opposed to lots of big moments.
And creative spots. You know what I mean? He
Absolutely.
had a lot of creative spots in War Games.
Well, and there was a great tag match that kicked it off. I know, Steven, you're a big fan of that tag match there.
Oh, man.
So if you haven't seen it before, and by the way, there is also a special appearance by somebody who might see main eventing this Royal Rumble on NXT Blackpool as well. So I won't spoil anything for you guys, but definitely check it out. Highly recommend it. Again, it's NXT Takeover UK Blackpool. It's their first takeover show for NXT UK.
They came out swinging for the first one.
So it was absolutely fantastic, very, very well done. And if you haven't already subscribed to WWE Network, definitely do so and check that one out because it was top class.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Mustache Mountain for life.
Mustache Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic tag team, let me tell you.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, and of course, I think we talked about it a little bit here. We kind of remixed the episodes, you guys. So if you listen to this here, this is technically episode 4 now.
Correct.
Episode number 1, we had to do some remixing here. Long story short, we were able to recover what we thought was the lost file for episode 1, but we've now remastered it and called it our pilot episode. So if you were a fan of episode 1, or if you haven't checked it out yet and you want to go back and re-listen to it, episode 1 is now called the pilot episode. It'll be called bonus pilot episode. If you're following us on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube or Stitcher. So check us out. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, you guys.
Yeah.
Also, as well, wanted to give a shout out to Freek Van Workem. He's the one that produced our intro beat, and he's also got some credits in the music industry. He did Gunsmoke on 21 Savage's #1 album, I Am Greater Than I Was. And also, he did recently, in his history, he's worked with Tech Nine, Kid Ink, B.O.B., 2 Chainz. So I definitely want to give a shout out to him.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that, and thank you for all the fine music you produce.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. Well, guys, obviously, we're here this week to do some coverage of a big weekend that's coming up here, Royal Rumble weekend.
Absolutely.
Live from Chase Field for the Royal Rumble. The WWE is touting this as 40,000 people in attendance for this match.
And they're really trying to hammer that home, too. Pretty much, there's like 3 or 4 promos in every episode of Raw and SmackDown and NXT, and every single one mentions 40,000 people.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm sure that's the capacity of it. Whether or not we'll have 40,000 on hand, it's debatable. But this will be interesting because I can't recall a Royal Rumble that's actually taking place outdoors.
Nice.
Yeah. So this will be interesting.
Definitely. I love outdoor venues. I think they're great. I don't know why. I just like them.
Daniel Bryan may have also teased something a little bit here. What he may have mentioned is since this is at a baseball stadium, that they might use the dugouts as entranceways. I think that would be something.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
I think that might be something very interesting.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing how they do this exactly at a
Faces
baseball.
come out the right, heels come out the left.
Perhaps so.
I like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting.
Yeah,
It's
that's kinda
very,
cool.
very interesting. Also, there's going to be this new sandwich that they'll have at Chase Field called the Royal Rumble.
This is an abomination of a meal.
It looks disgusting, really.
It really does. See, here's the...
It's an 18-ounce pork bratwurst.
Yes. This sandwich is nuts. I don't know where to start with it. We're not going to spend time on the sandwich because it doesn't mean anything.
Just
but
Google Royal Rumble sandwich. It's the first thing that comes up, and it's Oh.
Just take a look at that catastrophe of a sandwich and leave it in our YouTube comments what you think of it.
Yeah, just try and save the sandwich if you're gonna go to the show. If you buy the sandwich, just wait until after the Royal Rumble to have the sandwich. I don't necessarily need to have half the crowd leaving in the middle because they have a giant gut bomb going off, and then you can't enjoy the show. And that's really kind of lame, right?
Yeah.
Just real quick here too, guys, before we go into covering what's coming up this weekend. I know we're going to cover also the NXT Takeover Pheonix card, which is looking the bomb diggity.
Yep,
I'm really excited for it, you guys. Both shows are going to be great.
Yeah.
I think if there's ever an occasion for WWE to have one of their shows outshine Takeover once, for once. This would be the time to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we were talking about this a little bit ago. It's a really, really nice feeling to be just as excited for a main roster card as I am for an NXT card.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very long time since this has been a thing, but finally with the last few weeks of Raw and SmackDown and the Royal Rumble card and everything, I really think that the writers are starting to get their feet underneath them.
Yep.
And really putting out some really nice matches and really good storylines, and I'm pumped for Royal Rumble, and
nice.
I haven't been pumped for a main roster card in a while, so I'm excited.
Yeah, both shows are stacked, man. Both shows are stacked, and that's no shakes to the NXT card because we're going to get down dirty into that one here in just a moment, and that one's going to be fantastic as well. But to kind of take us back to last episode, we were talking a whole lot about AEW. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. But maybe you should.
And you will.
You will.
You will now.
You will.
So there's been a lot of rumor going around, you guys, right now, and this happens whenever new promotions springs up, especially if you're going to have the kind of backing like AEW plans on having. There's a lot of talent that is in WWE that might feel discouraged or disgruntled, that might want to make that step over here. So in our recurring segment, A Brief Debriefing with Tanner, we're going to cover here right now the top 5 WWE acts likely to go to AEW after a while. We can't
not necessarily a time frame specifically, but at some point.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking on my list.
Oh, okay. You've got a list here.
I got to go with, and we shared in the text, a few of our opinions. But I've got to go with, starting off to make things a little interesting.
You're going to go with Goldust, right?
That was close.
No, okay.
I'm thinking Jinder Mahal.
Jinder. Okay. So what? So you just want to see like Jinder come up in AEW, or do you think he's got like some kind of disgruntled vibe to him? My
vision for AEW, best case scenario, is that old school WCW. Anybody that's facing bad booking or feel their booking has been unfair, there's a place for you.
Everybody's got a shot, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Well, so what I'm looking at right here, for a large part of this, and I will plug a few names real quick as notable mentions or notable omissions rather from this list here for one reason or another. I mean, I've heard people clamor for guys like AJ Styles and Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Daniel Bryan.
Which none of these names are necessarily completely off the table.
Right.
However, if you've been watching WWE for the past several years, these guys are huge.
Yeah.
Plus, all those names would get paid if it became a bidding war.
Right.
Yep.
Vince
100%.
would, well, and I'm about to get onto that here in just a moment. Vince would be absolutely insane to let any of those names go right away. I mean, obviously, you might want to tier it a little bit here. Obviously, he might have preference for guys like AJ or Daniel Bryan over maybe somebody like Samoa Joe, for example. Nothing against Joe. Joe could probably tear it down at AEW or WWE if given the chance. But as of right now, what Vince, rumor has that Vince has a policy right now where they have a policy going around backstage where if you can prove that you have a concrete offer made, if you can provide evidence that you have a concrete offer made from another company, WWE would automatically double it.
Wow.
Double that offer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
the rumor going around.
Those are
that's
some big
interesting.
words.
That's big right there. That lets me know Vince might be a little concerned.
Yeah, that was reported.
We're not at the point of scared, but
I heard
might
that,
be a little concerned.
I heard that reported on the Solid Monster podcast. If you haven't listened to Solid Monster, he's pretty awesome too. He does a lot of really good in-depth coverage for these kind of things as well. That's where I've heard it from. Again, he's probably got maybe a little bit more insight into this than I do, perhaps, or maybe he's got a source that he maybe want to share with it. Again, but that's what I've heard. So if that's the case, then it is a bidding war, a money war here. Mm-hmm. But I guess to kind of start listing off some names here, I'm going to kind of go with some obvious ones, and I'm going to give you kind of a 10 out of 10 scale here as to 10 for 10 scale as to who I think would most likely be going or not. Mm-hmm. So to start off here, probably the most obvious, the most conceivable one I can think of is the Revival. The Revival's a great tag team. If you followed them in NXT, they were fantastic. They've kind of known for the gimmick of not having a gimmick. They're just really old school tough guys.
Yeah.
Just beat you up. But their booking since hitting the main card has been kind of so-so. Mm-hmm. I know that on a recent episode of Raw, after one of their matches, they did ask for their release. They voiced their displeasure over the current state of the tag division. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they already sound like they have 1.5 feet out the door, or in their case, maybe 3 feet out the door, since there's two of them. But they actually have this social media rivalry going back with the Young Bucks way back. That's how, like, when you see on the Revival's trunks hashtag FTR, you can imagine what F stands for, and then TR at the Revival.
Fans of.
There you go. Fans of the Revival, J-Raw.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. No, but that's something the Young Bucks came up with. They've been brewing this storyline, and I think that if they made it to AEW, they could literally have a main event tag team match with the Young Bucks that could go half an hour to 40 minutes, and it would be entertaining all the way through. The promos would be great. It would just be fantastic. So on a 10 scale, the likeliness of the Revival coming up to AEW, I'm actually going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't know when their contract expires. I don't know. I think WWE would be foolish at this point to let anybody just go. But when the time comes, AEW will be the next destination for the Revival. I can guarantee you that right now. Yeah,
one of the only matches that I've actually seen with the Revival, because again, I'm just sort of kind of getting back in. Mm-hmm. One of the only matches I've seen with them was a Lucha House Party match.
Yeah,
and let me just say, Lucha House Party is the worst thing that has happened to WWE in a while.
So you can understand their discontent here.
So I can understand their discontent because I would be kind of at that point after that match as well. Just to be kind of thrown out there as a joke almost. You know, that these guys are very talented, and you're putting them in a match just to kind of make people laugh, and it's like that's kind of not cool. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What I was gonna say was, could Vince be in a position where he just has too much talent?
Absolutely.
I think AEW is gonna test the limits of that.
Yeah.
Because, look at what, Cody's done. He's a mogul.
Yeah.
If not, already, he's definitely a future mogul. And they had him as mother bleeping Stardust and said, nope.
Yeah.
This is what the people love.
Yeah.
This is what we see you as.
Cody's really
and no more. It's insane.
Cody's really followed his father's footsteps here.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Like, if you know of Dusty Rhodes before he went to WWE, and like when he was in the NWA and booking for other territories, he was fantastic at making sure that it was business first. And he cuts a great promo. Cody's just like a carbon copy of his father. It's kind of it's very impressive actually. In a lot of ways.
But going off your point, J-Raw, with Vince possibly running into a problem with too much talent, I've been saying this to both of y'all for a while. I think WWE's roster is too big. They don't have enough space for the amount of talent that they have.
Yeah.
And not everyone is going to be the big guy.
But I'll be
something
honest.
Like that.
I like what they do with Samoa Joe. If I'm a top level talent, like you said with Lucha House Party, I'd rather be shelved and bring me out for something than rolled out, possibly looking like a jobber or a BS storyline.
Speaking
Samoa
of
Joe is shelved until he's rolled out for something.
Right.
So we're good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you on that. But speaking of being shelved, on to our next person on the list here, likeliness to get
Elf on the shelf
moved over here to AEW after the end of his contract, perhaps. One Mr. Dolph Ziggler. Now, I know...
Oh, that is...
it's an interesting
shelf.
one. That's an interesting one.
Shelf life.
Now, Steven, I know you're not a big fan of the Ziggles.
So...
What?
So my problem with Mr. Ziggles is...
Whoa, U-turn.
He just has the most... I don't even know the word. He's just very snarky.
Okay.
And
you know him from heel Ziggler.
I do.
Face Ziggler's pretty cool. He's a pretty good guy.
Okay. And I will say I don't have a lot of experience with face Ziggler, but heel Ziggler, I'm not about it, and I'm definitely not about it. That being said, though,
that just makes him a good heel, though. Sometimes,
yes,
right?
100%.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that being said, though, no one can deny Dolph Ziggler's very talented, and he can cut a promo for sure.
Yeah.
Based on what I know Dolph Ziggler as, not really for me. But with him going to... allegedly, possibly going to AEW. And I think they could, with an actual writing team that really wants to push him, he could actually do very, very well there.
Well, and that's what I was about to touch on, is I think that you know him primarily because he's a WWE guy. I mean, I've only really known him out of WWE. So it would be very interesting to see what the flip of the script looks like if he's booked by another promotion, because he is currently inconsistently booked. I think
what I would say is also in the last, is it fair to say in the last 5 to 7 years, not putting someone over? I mean, that's been his job.
Yeah.
For God knows how long.
He makes other people look good. I mean, the last great moment that I remember from Dolph Ziggler, well, I mean, I can't say that it's the last great moment. He had a really good tag match. Not tag match. He's had really good matches with Seth Rollins a lot. He had a pretty good cage match with Drew McIntyre recently. But, I mean, when I think of Dolph Ziggler, I think of a few years back at Survivor Series where he was the last man on Team Cena, and Seth Rollins was the last guy on Team Authority before Sting came out and debuted. That's how I remember Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Dolph was an Iron Man in that match, and he put on a really great match and really made you believe that he could beat 3 guys by himself, and it turned out that he did.
That was a good one. I remember
that was a great Dolph Ziggler moment. So I mean, I think of things like that, and I think of AEW has potential to really take advantage of this.
Yeah.
If you can rewind, if you guys are fans of an older persuasion, you might remember the first WCW Nitro show where none other than Lex Luger came out after working with WWE the day before. At the WWE event, he came out on Nitro the very next night to work for WCW. So this could be a similar kind of event where we have a big major name that jumps ship from WWE to AEW. I think it's definitely a possibility. It's just a matter of when does Dolph's contract run out, and does Vince actually do something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the 10 for 10, on the 10 scale here, I'm actually going to give this about a 7 out of 10. I do believe in this whole dynamic of a WWE guy jumping ship, making an impact, like we mentioned with Lex Luger back with WCW, or even Christian when he moved from TNA or moved to TNA from WWE, or even Kurt Angle when he did the same thing.
Right.
I think it would have that kind of level of impact.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that for sure.
Bret Hart before Goldberg gave him a concussion.
True. This is true, too. A lot of people thought that Bret Hart was going to be the death knell of WWE when he left after the Montreal Screwjob.
That was it would have been possible, but that,
I feel like that's part
Goldberg put him out of there.
Yeah, I think that's part of WCW's downfall ultimately. And I think I would love for us to have an episode about the Montreal Screwjob one day and the ultimate ramifications of what happened. We could probably go on for days about how that affected business, but nonetheless, I think it would have that level of impact.
Yeah, definitely.
Another one on the list here, another act here, Mike and Maria Kanellis. So there's a lot of different issues here, and I know this one has been one that's circulated a lot because it kind of came out on social media, had a little bit of social media involvement rather. They've had multiple different issues since coming to WWE. They haven't really been booked even very strongly until those issues came to fruition. Part of that is Mike Kanellis had to go into a stint for rehab for prescription drugs, I believe, here, which is good. It's good to take care of yourself and to get clean if you have these issues. And I believe at the same time, his wife Maria became pregnant. So it's probably best if you have those kind of issues, especially if you're going to be bringing a child into the world, you should go and get yourself cleaned up. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right.
However, they keep making the rounds because for this rumor because they're just not on TV like at all. So there was a lot of publicity about, did Mike and Maria Kanellis request their releases from WWE? I mean, there's a lot of places that you can look. Like J-Raw just pulled it up on comicbook.com. There's an article about that from, when was this?
Last week.
Last week, so the 16th. I know that Maria came out on, I want to say, Facebook or Twitter saying that she did not request her release and that she's happy with WWE and this, that, and the other. I mean... Which
is what you say when you request your release.
Exactly. When there's smoke, there's fire in a lot of these cases. The thing that I guess keeps me from saying it's an automatic go is... it seems like they have a lot stronger of a relationship with Ring of Honor than what they would with any of the guys over at AEW, because that's where they got established, was in Ring of Honor. So on a 10 scale, I'm giving this a 3 out of 10 likeliness. I mean, it's definitely a possibility that they could go to AEW someday, but it's far more likely that they would end up going to Ring of Honor if they ever did get released or when their contract expires.
So likely to go, but not there.
I would say it's likely that we may not see them in WWE anytime soon, or if they were to show up on another wrestling program, I would say it's much more likely Ring of Honor than it would be AEW. But of course, there's always a chance that maybe they don't get over into Ring of Honor. Maybe Ring of Honor doesn't want them and they come over to AEW because AEW wants to have more established talent, perhaps.
Something just came to mind, and I want you guys to think about it.
Okay.
Long game play for AEW. Signing a disgruntled, poorly booked, after maybe a year or two of being well booked, Bray Wyatt.
I mean, it's possible. Obviously...
I'm saying not now, but I'm saying...
Bray would be an established guy. I'm sure that they wouldn't turn him down.
No, I'm saying a steal. That would be a steal. That wouldn't be... I'm talking a steal.
It depends on what kind of money he would ask for. I don't know what their budget's going to look like, because I know they're going to try and sign up as much young, fresh talent as there's possible. Bray Wyatt seems to me to have a bit of a gimmick where it's very WWE centric, where it's like this is a character, whereas a lot of I don't really know of a time that Bray Wyatt was ever in anything outside of a WWE promoted territory. So it'd be interesting whether or not that could
just
happen.
A thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure
big name signing.
I'm sure he and Cody know each other. I'm sure that it would probably appeal to Bray if there was ever a day where he wasn't in WWE, but to my knowledge, I don't think that he's ever had a reason to leave.
Yeah. Honestly, it would be kind of cool to see a talent like Bray Wyatt with maybe some different writing,
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, with Bray Wyatt, he's a very WWE-centric talent, and the character that he has... or I guess that they have formed, he has formed, they've kind of worked together on, is very WWE-centric. But seeing a talent like that with different writers could be interesting.
Right, just like with the Dolph Ziggler situation. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. Next on the list that...
I did just want to say real quick, Mike and Maria Kanellis, when you mentioned that they're not on TV... Yeah. That would make sense because I have no idea who these people are.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Well.
That's unfortunate for both me and them, but I'm sure they're talented and all that stuff. It might just be another situation of of WWE shelving some really nice talent. I haven't seen them before.
And like I said, there's a lot of other issues. Like he's just done rehab. He's gotten himself clean.
Right.
Maria's been pregnant. So I mean, like I said, that's a lot can happen, and in a very short span of time. Yeah. Swiftly along here, because we definitely want to get into this NXT card real quick. I'm going to run down the last two on the list, and I think that these are both very intriguing options here. So we've got Sasha Banks and Bayley. So now Sasha Banks, in a kind of a related fashion to the Revival, I think there was some discussions between one of the members of the Revival and Sasha Banks during a show, and there was kind of discussions of going elsewhere, and Sasha made kind of an interesting tweet of "Take me with you." So I think that might be partly why she's in this match with Ronda this weekend. Is they want to make sure that she's well taken care of.
For sure.
And that she's told how important she is to WWE. She is one of the 4 horsewomen, and I'm a big fan of Sasha Banks. But yes, she's kind of had the same kind of start-stop booking that a lot of these other people on the list have had. Part of it here, to me, you have kind of a duality here. You have Charlotte, who Sasha was rivaling for a long time. On one hand, you have Sasha on the other. So Charlotte, she tends to get like these long reigns, and she's pushed as the big top star for the women's division. She's going to be pushed probably for a long time as the greatest women's wrestler of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
But Sasha being her main rival for a long stretch of that, every time Sasha's touched the title, her reign hasn't lasted but one defense. Which, I mean, for someone of Sasha Banks' talent, and of course I'm a bit biased, I think that that's total bull. Like that's just me. I think that you should, years ago, you should have been pushing Sasha harder than what you were now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And Sasha's one of those wrestlers that always confused me with her booking and everything like that, because you can see it now with her match against Ronda coming up, where they'll kind of just shelve her for a very long time and not really do too much with her. And then out of nowhere, she's the most important person on the roster. And then
right now.
And then this match happens, and then she gets shelved again, and then it kind of happens again, and it's just like, if you really want to push the storyline of she's the baddest on the roster, why aren't you booking her in important matches?
That's
and
right.
It always just confused me about her.
Well, and the same thing,
she has the talent.
And the same thing kind of happens with Bayley too. Bayley's kind of been treated similarly with the start-stop booking, and I think what AEW's real appeal for Sasha and Bayley would be, they really need established talent for the women's division. I know there's a lot of women's indie talent right now, but to have 2 top acts like Sasha and Bayley come in, mean that you could keep them together like they are right now, where they're the best friends, or you could have them feud. It's really whatever you want to do, but I think that those would be 2 really great talents to have if you're AEW. WWE will most likely put the women's tag titles on them at some point. I mean, I would say they're almost a shoo-in to win the first ever women's tag team titles at Elimination Chamber next month.
Quick plug for that belt.
Yeah, those belts look sick.
Those are some pretty belts. Those are super pretty.
The women's tag belts are sweet.
They are super nice.
Super sweet.
And going off what you said with them, possibly being able to either stay together and do that, or feud or something like that. Bayley is incredibly talented.
Absolutely.
And even more so to the degree where Sasha Banks has a very stop-start booking. I feel like Bayley barely has any booking at all whatsoever. And she has a lot of talent. Looks very good, obviously. So Bayley's another one, and it's kind of interesting that we put them obviously in the same category because it's very similar.
Very similar situations. Absolutely, and they're great. And they're great as a tag team. We saw that on Monday. They had a great tag match against Natalya and Ronda Rousey. They came out victorious. Congrats, girls. That was
one thing I'll say though, to be, I don't want to be, but to be a little contrarian is, and I can see how you guys feel about this, but I've always felt like with those 2 in particular, they're not very balanced in the sense that they are phenomenal ring workers, but they can't cut a promo better than Charlotte or Becky. And I just
but Charlotte and Becky are really great promos for their division. Like that's probably like 1 and 2. On the roster now. I like Sasha's promos. I like them pretty good. Bayley's has not had as many talking points. Maybe that is something that, like you said, that she can up her game on a bit.
Yeah.
Well, she also really hasn't been given a lot of opportunities for that either.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the flip side that we keep coming back to is all these people are scripted, right? So it's not only about how they deliver it, but it's also, hey, what kind of lines are they being given here? Like, what kind of direction are they being given to actually really bring out their talents? We may not know what the real Sasha or Bayley or Dolph Ziggler or whoever really is right now because they're all being written like story characters.
Right. Because Jericho is a beast, but that writing for him in New Japan is some of the best.
That's all him.
Yeah, just.
I mean, even a lot of his WWE stuff, Vince trusted him because he knows, like, Jericho's like the best in the mic in the business.
But it's just that freedom to just be. I'm talking about darker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just. He was great in WWE. I mean, he's great, period. But I'm just saying that 1 year run that ended with the fight with Kenny Omega.
Yep.
That was epic. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'm just saying, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
When there's I liken it to football where, maybe you just need a different voice. Like the team needs a different coach.
Steve Austin.
Like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Coming out of nowhere, kicking Tom Brady in the nads.
Give him a Stone Cold
and stunning him.
Give him a Luthez press and just bop, 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 bop.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I think I would cry if that happened at the Super Bowl. I think I would cry.
He just gets on Tom Brady's face and just middle fingers,
up and down on my couch like
and talks
Tom
trash.
Cruise. That's how joyous that would be.
Double birds.
Just to round out this top 5 list real quick here, because I know everybody's patiently waiting this NXT card rundown. But last on my list I have here is an interesting choice. I'm actually gonna make it 2. Because I just thought of one other one that could really work out too. Shinsuke Nakamura would be another one that I really could see happening. He's got a similar situation to Chris Jericho, where he could be a big addition, like a big international talent for stateside. And if AEW does pull off this partnership with New Japan, he's got appeal there as well, because obviously there's all that connection and history there. Mm-hmm. So he can appeal as either a beloved babyface, like how he was when he came up through NXT and when he was initially on the main roster, or you could even have him as an unstoppable psychopath heel, but actually book him that way and not just like this smarmy artist kind of guy who WWE have him booked as right now. His current deal ends in February.
Nice.
But here's the deal. He and his family have no intention of moving back to Japan on any full-time basis. So that kind of poo-poos not the NXT, but the New Japan rumors that have been circling around him. Mm-hmm. However, interesting fact, he and his family reside in Florida. Guess who else's home base is in Florida? AEW is based out of Jacksonville. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan, exactly. So this could potentially make more sense for AEW, and then they would have so much that they could book him with. Mm-hmm. Creatively, I wrote down some dream matches here. He could have dream matches against Cody. Cody would be a fantastic match between him and Nakamura. There'd be a lot of charisma in that ring. Mm-hmm. Nakamura versus Jericho. That would be something else too, especially if you want to have one of these new age Jericho garbage matches where it's just difficult, painful spots watching, where you never feel comfortable watching them, but it's happening in front of your face.
Yes.
And I'd like to see Nakamura and Kenny Omega.
That would be a match.
I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag.
Triggers around.
It's absolutely most likely Kenny Omega is going to AEW, and that's just flat out it. Mm-hmm. I think that they'll probably position it to where they can try and work out a deal with New Japan because Kenny is going there, and I think New Japan doesn't want to lose Kenny.
Yeah.
But this is certainly something that I see happening, is him angling AEW with the intent of leveraging with New Japan for there to forge a partnership.
Can I just say how excited I am for AEW. Before we move on, this is.
It's like Christmas.
I mean,
every
it's
day. I'm
yeah.
so
I haven't
honestly.
I haven't had this type of anticipatory feeling for wrestling since probably when I was a kid during the during the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel the same way, man.
You had to watch.
Yeah,
absolutely feel the same way. You have to watch because you never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Which is the beautiful thing about wrestling.
Yeah, and AEW coming out, especially right now in the time frame, and well, you know what's currently going on with WWE. Yep. It's just really interesting because with you know the Raw ratings kind of going downhill, and everyone kind of just giving a lot of thumbs down to WWE recently. Yeah, we said this on the last episode. Better competition breeds better competition. Yeah. And so with AEW coming out, we're going to have a really, really solid roster with some really nice matches. But because they are doing such really nice matches, WWE is going to have to step it up as well. Yep. And so we're honestly 2019 and 2020 are going to be some of the best years for American wrestling.
Yeah,
sure. So, and speaking of some of the best American wrestling, let's move right along to the moment everybody's been patiently waiting for. Let's run down these cards here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with NXT Takeover Pheonix, and good golly, this is a stacked card.
Oh, man.
So, they'll probably be starting off the card here with Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno. If that sounds familiar, it's because it is, because we saw this at NXT Takeover War Games as an impromptu match. Now, they've been feuding since then. Matt Riddle obviously KO'd Cassius Ohno within 7 seconds at NXT Takeover War Games.
Yes, very quickly.
Running Big Knee. I expect this to be a pretty brutal matchup that really does highlight and accentuate just how good Matt Riddle is. Cassius Ohno is really good as this kind of coach mentor role where he's helping guys come off of the indie circuit and really bringing them into the NXT fold. So I really do expect this to be a pretty solid opener. You know, if nothing largely, pretty remarkable. I think Matt Riddle will really showcase himself very nicely here.
Yeah, I think this will be one of the examples that we'll look back to with Matt Riddle and be like, this was one of the turning points. I'm really excited to see what they do with Matt Riddle and where he goes from here. Obviously very talented, has a lot of background in UFC and everything like that. Looks really fun.
It looks very, very fun. So that's going to be a great opener to have. We've also got Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair in a singles match for the women's championship match. I know Steven's not the biggest fan in the world of Shayna Baszler.
I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Right. You know what I mean? I'm very so about Shayna Baszler.
Well, and I mean, for that matter here, too, I haven't seen a whole lot of Bianca Belair, I'll be completely honest with you, but from what I've heard, she's amazingly talented in the ring. Okay. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can do. And
Shayna Baszler's no slouch either, so this would definitely be a good one.
I like Baszler.
Yeah, Shayna Baszler isn't anything if not for a workhorse that will get you through a match. I really appreciate a lot of her work as well. Undisputed Era defending the tag championships. That's Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong against the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe. This has been going on for a while. I mean, you can go back even before NXT War Games. The rivalry between these two teams.
Yeah, it's kind of funny with Undisputed Era. It's the same thing, the same situation as Adam Cole, and obviously he's in Undisputed Era. But I don't want to like them.
But they're so wonderful.
But they're all so great on the mic and so great in the ring.
They're such a good team too.
They are a really good team, especially some of the spots that they can pull off in tag team matches. It's just some really solid ring work and really solid teamwork.
See, what's crazy is, so the initial Undisputed Era tag team was Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, and I really liked them because they kind of they were part of a team before that was in New Japan and Ring of Honor called Red Dragon.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Red Dragon was awesome, and so when they came together and they were with Adam Cole,
Baby.
I was like, oh man, this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be a sick team to have together, And then when Roderick Strong was brought into the fold, I thought that was even better. But Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, there's something about them that's taken that notch that Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish had to take it to another level up, in my opinion. There's just it's like a completely different tag team that runs even better.
One of the best groups or tag teams or whatever you want to call them in WWE right now, whether that be main roster or NXT, just insanely talented group of guys.
Very much so.
And War Raiders.
War Raiders as well. Yep. Very, very good. They're very hard-hitting, smash-mouth guys. These are two really good tag teams right now.
Crazy spots in War Games.
Crazy spots.
Yeah.
I think that this will be an interesting match because I think something that's a bit of a motif right now is that the Undisputed Era keep finding ways to keep a hold of their titles. Now, WrestleMania weekend's coming up here, probably faster than we even realize it. I would say that Undisputed Era is most likely going to retain the titles here.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to take them off.
Somehow, some way, whether that's interference by Adam Cole and Bobby Fish. Baby. Bobby Fish, baby?
No, Adam Cole, baby.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we're doing another Bobby Fish thing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Cool. But I mean, I think they're going to try and weasel their way out of this match here. I think it'll be a beatdown. I think obviously the Undisputed Era will get some offense in, but they'll find a way to weasel themselves out of the match with the titles, much to the chagrin of the War Raiders. Johnny Gargano versus Ricochet for the North American Championship.
There's not much that you can say about this match other than it's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's got echoes of the Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay match.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
That level of
say
talent.
Word.
Yeah, that level of talent that's going to be in that ring at the same time. Ricochet is great. I mean, let's take a poll here. The three of us, raise your hands if you're a fan of Ricochet.
Love Ricochet.
All right,
all three of us.
All right,
raised our hands.
so yes, if you're listening, all three of us raised our hands.
Yes.
Raise your hands if you like what Johnny Gargano brings to the table.
Like Gargano.
Yeah, that's all three of us.
Yep.
This is gonna be. Oh, I can't even. I'm touching my face because I can't even.
This is a yes please match.
Yeah.
Let me just put it that way. Both of these guys are insanely talented. They're just gonna do a great job.
I really can't wait.
Yeah.
And the storytelling leading up to this match has been great too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with kind of like the foreshadowing of how that mixes up with the main event as well. Because Ciampa ties in, and so does Aleister Black to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
This is just gonna be great. And I mean, here's the tricky part: who wins this match? I want arguments for both.
See, that is a really, really tricky scenario, because if Ricochet does retain, which, let me just put this out of the way, I think Ricochet will retain.
Okay.
But if Ricochet does retain, great for Ricochet, but it does kind of put Johnny in a interesting situation, just because he's not winning enough at this point to really be over. But they're also pushing him as a heel right now, so it's kind of strange.
Right.
I do think Ricochet's going to win, but I don't know where that leaves Johnny if he does.
Right. And I've done a lot of thinking about this too myself. If Johnny does lose the match, I think that's okay. Because Johnny, historically, Johnny Gargano does not have a winning record at takeovers right now. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that might speak to the degree of how good he is, because he helps put other people over.
Yeah, and he might not win the matches, but he finds his way into the main events.
Yeah, he finds his way into producing great matches. And Ricochet is kind of one of those guys who always seems to find a way to perform on the big stage, just like Gargano does. So I think that they're going to really mix well with each other. They're going to really bring out the best of that each other has. If Gargano loses, the way that I could see it happening is he continues doing this dynamic here with Ciampa. We'll keep seeing small DIY teases here and there. Steven really wants this DIY thing to happen.
If heel DIY becomes a thing, that will be the single greatest moment in wrestling for me.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with you. I mean, it would certainly be great. But I think that would just have a little bit more to where maybe Johnny feels like he has to depend on Ciampa more. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has to keep leaning on Ciampa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe someday, he finally realizes that Ciampa is just using him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what Johnny's wife kind of was there for in the last episode of NXT, mm-hmm. where she was like, "No, Johnny, we're not doing this again."
Right.
You know, like, hey, you got to stop. So something's got to wake up Johnny at some point to realize, I have to go after him.
Well, see, now I'm thinking that, I don't think this is going to happen, but one way that I think that they could bring Ciampa and Gargano up at the same time as DIY would be Gargano to lose this match, mm-hmm. and Ciampa to lose his match of that night and put it on Aleister, and have both of them come up as, losers to a certain degree, and then what you were saying, where Gargano feels like he has to rely on Ciampa and things like that.
Yeah.
That's just a pipe dream. I really want this heel DIY to happen, but I don't think it's going to.
Well, I think the story has been and always should have been for Johnny and Ciampa, even from all the way last year WrestleMania weekend. The story was always going to be, okay, it's going to end. Mm-hmm. And it's going to end next year, WrestleMania weekend, and that's going to be this year. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for us now, we're going to probably have Ciampa and Aleister, not Aleister Black, but Ciampa and Johnny Gargano at the NXT Takeover for WrestleMania weekend this year, mm-hmm. and it'll be for the title. And it'll be the last encounter between the two of them, mm-hmm. and it'll close the rivalry. And in my opinion, Johnny loses here so that he wins WrestleMania weekend. So he'll be champion.
To have the ultimate babyface finally conquer his demons, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then you can call up Ciampa. Mm-hmm. You can call up Ciampa to the main roster, preferably SmackDown.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe a heel program between heel Ciampa versus heel Daniel Bryan would be something.
Ooh.
Who would have the best smack talk?
My heart, Tanner. You can't do this to me.
Nobody's leaving that feud without getting stabbed.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. We don't want anybody getting stabbed.
No.
Don't bring knives to the show. I don't encourage violence like that. But it would be great.
It would be 100%. Yeah. And so I guess now are we moving on to the main event for this card?
Yep. Speaking of Mr. Ciampa, mm-hmm. Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black at for the NXT Heavyweight Championship. What we're seeing here, it has a great dynamic. Aleister Black has been chasing Ciampa since he lost the title.
Yep.
So this is
and
really...
Ciampa's been running.
And Ciampa's been running.
Yep.
Desperately.
Mm-hmm.
I think the longer that he holds the title, it's like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. The longer that he holds the title, the more and more entrapped he becomes.
I like that insight. Because they've kind of been almost hinting towards that.
Yeah.
He started to call the title Goldie, and he started to do the clutching of the title as he's walking down to the ring, and he didn't do that originally necessarily, and so they might be showing a little bit of that.
So let me see here. I really enjoy what we're gonna get out of hold on one second. Yeah, I really enjoy what we're getting out of this feud. Mm-hmm. I think if I'm going to be a betting man, I would go with Ciampa winning the match. Mm-hmm. I think that he's going to retain here. And Aleister Black will probably go up to the main roster and replace Lars Sullivan's spot right now while Lars is kind of in recovery mode.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I thought.
Major prediction there.
Was going to happen as well. At this point, it's time to call up honestly Ciampa, Black, and Gargano, but they're going to have to wrap up some storylines before they can get everyone up there. But all three of these people have put in the time, and they've shown and proven that they are able to do that. It's definitely time for them to be pushed up. So,
but you guys think Alistair first in place of Lars?
In place of Lars, yes.
Because I think there's a little bit of a gap here where Alistair is. After this story, he doesn't really have a whole lot that he has to fight for in NXT, to me personally. And you got to have somebody who can come up and bridge that gap, because they've been promoting Lars Sullivan coming up, and Lars hasn't come up, so
that would
they need to have somebody. I think again,
that would be the best booking of all time if you thought of bringing Alistair Black up in place of Lars Sullivan instead of just bringing the man up initially.
Right.
But it's Vince McMahon.
That's true.
Not paying attention to the way things are.
But I would definitely have Triple H being in Vince's ear now. I would trust it a little bit more than I would have maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
Especially after the recent shake-up.
Yeah. I would. I'll talk a little bit about what I think might happen with Aleister Black here in the future. But as for right now, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I think that probably now is the time, better than ever, to go ahead and pull the trigger on that one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I don't want to be the agreeing guy, but that's pretty much my prediction of this match as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's time for all three of them. So now we begin the slow process of finishing up storylines and getting everybody where they need to be.
Absolutely.
Well, all right.
Let's go ahead and turn our attention here to the Royal Rumble card. And J-Raw, I think you said that you have a special guest for tonight's Royal Rumble card predictions.
Yes, we have one, Eddie.
What is going on?
Hey, Eddie, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Oh, doing well,
Not
Eddie.
too bad at all.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Eddie. How long have you been watching wrestling for? And what got you into wrestling?
I've been watching wrestling since the old Attitude Era. I loved The Rock and Stone Cold.
The Rock and Stone Cold. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good pairing to really enjoy. You got any particular special memories about the Royal Rumble?
Let me see. What's a good one? I can't think of one in particular.
Okay.
I always like the Royal Rumble because it's the build-up for WrestleMania.
That's
so.
Yeah.
It's good to see the young talent go out there and show what they got, and it's good. I liked when the Miz won, so he got to main event WrestleMania. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was Miz has definitely got an interesting spot here in the WrestleMania weekend, Royal Rumble weekend here.
Right.
So we've kind of got a couple pre-show matches here that we're gonna touch base first, but
and I wanted to say as well too, Eddie is the guy before you guys that got me to stay up on wrestling.
Really?
Right
so
Definitely.
Good job, Eddie. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
So as he wants to be Soulja Boy saying he made me, but you know what I mean.
I made Joel.
He's on my show.
He dropped
and
your
he
first
said
name, J-Raw.
by secret identity,
Unmasked.
my name, unmasked.
Hashtag Headlock Talk. Hashtag
Coming with the Draco.
Hashtag Joel.
Coming with the Draco. But yeah.
So for the pre-show, guys, if y'all have been watching the 205 Live or the WWE Cruiserweight division, man, there's some good stuff going on there. We've got
some real work.
Buddy Murphy's putting on his title on the line against Akira Tozawa, Hideo Itami, and Kalisto. Hideo Itami coming back here. He's now in 205 Live. I know him back when he was Kenta in Japan.
Wow.
And in Ring of Honor.
Gotcha.
Hideo Itami's amazingly talented guy.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm gonna go with Hideo Itami here. I think the title changes hands here.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. I'm going with Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy's gonna retain.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know too many of these people. I normally do not watch 205 Live. I will say though, Buddy Murphy, that is a talented man.
That's a bad man.
My prediction is Buddy Murphy retains.
Eddie, what do you think, man?
Well, a lot of people are saying that Buddy Murphy's going to retain, but I really want Hideo Itami, so I'll go with him.
My man. All right. So, yeah, man, I think it'll be a really good match. I might have to catch the pre-show just to watch that one.
Definitely.
We also have Rusev defending the United States Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. I personally don't see any reason as to why Rusev needs to drop the title.
None.
No, didn't he just get it?
Yeah.
Fairly recently?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why Shinsuke is in this match.
I mean, the only reason that that I think Rusev would drop it to Shinsuke is if, going back to our AEW talk, if WWE is wanting to...
Trying to throw a bone.
Yeah, trying to give Shinsuke some kind of push just to be like, hey, you're not sitting on the sidelines. We want you to have a good match and everything like that.
But let's talk about crappy booking. He was just fighting for the championship.
Yeah.
And now he's downgraded to the United States Championship against Rusev?
Yeah.
Hey, let's give our man Rusev a little bit of credit here. Rusev was probably the most over guy this time last year.
Okay.
On the whole roster.
Okay.
And he had his moment of crappy booking where he wasn't given the title.
You guys are all failing to remember that he will be wrestling on Rusev Day as well.
This is true.
Eddie's raising the stakes here.
Yeah.
There he is.
So Eddie, in honor of Rusev Day, who's coming out on top here, man?
Definitely Rusev is gonna retain, and it sucks that this is on the pre-show, but yeah, Rusev.
I said the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
What in all of the booking, man?
Yeah.
Vince!
Yeah.
Well,
Vince! You got Shinsuke on the pre-show
Yeah.
fighting for the United States Championship. Why am I the only one that's even slightly mad?
well, hold on. With all due respect, you take a look at this match card. Every other match on here is a championship match except for the 2 Royal Rumble matches. So if you have to look at the prestige here, it's tough to tell the 2 less prestigious titles that you're going to have to take it in the pre-show. But
See, that's not even the point.
Because I really need to see the
My
bar.
point is...
I really need to see the bar.
no, it's not about seeing the bar
Right,
here,
right.
J-Rock. It's about seeing the Miz and Shane McMahon.
There you go.
Yeah, but see, my problem with this
I
match,
can't breathe.
it's not even the fact that it's the United States Championship match on the pre-show. It's the fact that Shinsuke is on the pre-show.
Exactly.
What is happening right now?
And all the love of all the loves.
I'm telling you, AEW just around the corner, bud.
Yeah, right. And if Rusev does retain in this match, which I think all of us believe that he will,
Yep.
I think Shinsuke going to AEW is even more likely after that.
Headlock Talk Lock.
Yeah.
You can book that one.
Book it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can book that above all the crappy bookings. I'm giving Vince a hard time. I mean, the top is just spectacular, but I mean, it's for God's sake.
So to the main card here, we'll probably end up seeing the start of the WrestleMania main card with exactly that match, the bar, which is Cesaro and Sheamus versus The Miz and Shane McMahon,
Hey.
the greatest tag team in the world.
I don't think anyone can sit
It's
here and
work,
say
though.
that The Miz and
Work.
Shane are not going to win these titles.
Correct.
They've put a lot of work into getting this specific tag team over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're winning the titles. They're winning the titles,
Eddie,
for sure.
Eddie, what do you think about this angle with The Miz and Shane McMahon right now?
I mean, as we all probably can speculate, this is building up for, I would guess, WrestleMania maybe? But we know one is turning on the other.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
See, I didn't even think about that.
Chicanery afoot.
Yeah, see, I mean, I was thinking, along the lines like Shane and Miz would win the title, and they would hold them on and defend the titles at WrestleMania, maybe against some crazy tag team. I have no idea.
Heel DIY.
Well, that's a good take too.
Go ahead.
But you raise an interesting point. You think that maybe the tag team disintegrates before it becomes a real thing, huh?
I think so. I think they're trying to build this for them to face each other.
Man, it would be kind of interesting if they were the tag team champions and then faced each other.
I would love to see them. That would be great.
With the titles.
You could write
That would be interesting.
Yeah, you could write that in and be like,
it's
what would make my father even more proud? With the Miz saying, what would make my father even more proud if I beat the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
And Shane, you're the best wrestler in the world, so I'm gonna have to beat you.
The only bad thing about that is that kind of takes the tag team titles away for a little bit.
Well, and it's a complete lie. I mean, Shane McMahon's clearly not the best wrestler ever.
But to the Miz's dad, he is.
Okay, fine. Fine.
And apparently to the Miz himself.
I'm sorry for breaking the fourth wall here.
I'm just saying, you bring up an interesting point, Eddie, and now I would love to see that. If they were holding the tag titles and faced each other at WrestleMania, or even faced each other at Elimination Chamber, I think it'd be great.
It's pure gold.
Yeah,
It could be Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. I like that.
And do we get Shane jumping shamelessly off the top of?
Oh, we're getting a coast to coast for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're getting multiple coast to coasts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the tricky part of the card, because I really don't know what's going to happen first, because they could either do they could maybe do the Ronda Rousey Sasha Banks match next, but they really need to figure out what they're going to do about like the Women's Royal Rumble and how that plays a part into the Asuka Becky Lynch match. So I guess let's talk about the Ronda Rousey Sasha Banks match first, and then we kind of go from there. I mean, I don't think there's any shadow of a doubt that Ronda Rousey's probably going to retain here, but 100%. I think that Sasha's going to make it look really, really good for Ronda. Sasha tends to make anybody who she's in the ring with look pretty decent.
I mean, are we thinking farewell Ronda? Like, we preparing these two big matches? Well, Sasha now, and then maybe a loss at WrestleMania.
You're
end of contract.
You are helping with this breaking news here today. It broke out today that there is a possibility that WrestleMania will be Ronda Rousey's last appearance for WWE for a while, even though she's been around for only about a year now. What basically set this off is the talk that maybe she's wanting to settle down and start having a family first before she continues anymore with her career in WWE, which makes sense. I think that freaked a lot of people out, thinking, oh, well, she's only been here for a year now. Why would she leave all of a sudden? I mean, that's her personal life as three males sitting here in this room and a fourth male on the phone here with us here. I don't know if any of us are. I don't know if any of us are biologically reasonable enough to make this determination for Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
But
I mean, no matter how you think about it, to Ronda, we see her on TV performing, every week, and it's huge for us. But to Ronda, this is work.
Yeah.
This is work.
And so if she's wanting to step aside and start a family and take a step away from work because it's what it is, I don't knock her for that. I don't knock her for that at all.
No,
I've also seen multiple reports that she has a contract with the WWE until 2021.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. So even if she did take a break, and I think this is what you're talking about here, Eddie, if she takes a break, she can still come back and still do WWE up through 2021, or Vince may renegotiate with her, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
Well, yeah. I mean, so we all on board here. Ronda Rousey's probably gonna walk away with the title here, or do we think a title change is gonna happen?
I don't see any reason why there would be a title change at this point.
It sort of puts the writing in a bad place, because obviously if Sasha wins, Ronda couldn't come back and beat her at WrestleMania and then vacate the title.
Right.
So it puts it hamstrings the writing a little bit.
Possible. Yeah.
I agree.
If Sasha does end up getting the title right now, which like I said, I don't think she will. And then they do face each other at WrestleMania. It's just
short run number
it's
35
crazy short
for
runs
Sasha.
and way too many title transfers within a short amount of time. And
but they do it to Sasha. Even when it would be unfeasible. No, they're not going to just change. Oh, Charlotte won. What? Sasha just, okay.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, go with it.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
They keep freaking doing that to
I
her.
completely agree. Which leads us to this Asuka Becky Lynch match. Now this one's been kind of interesting because it was initially announced way ahead of WrestleMania. It was like one of the first matches that they announced, and they kind of pulled it, and it wasn't listed on there anymore. And then they kind of reintroduced it and was like, okay, yeah, this is happening. This is still a match. How this affects the Women's Royal Rumble match, I know that when they put up the graphic on Raw for the Women's Royal Rumble, I counted only 23 superstars on there.
Okay.
Out of the 30 that they're going to have for the Women's Royal Rumble. So,
Like, where are you going with this?
so this could mean that
Loser goes in.
one of two things could happen. Either you have Becky Lynch. She's going to have to lose, in my opinion, but she's got to lose in a strong way, which means that there's going to have to be some shenanigans, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Charlotte coming out, and Charlotte could disqualify Becky in the match. Maybe they do have some confrontation backstage segment between Becky and Charlotte where they remind each other, oh, okay, well, you remember I don't like you.
Yeah,
I don't like you.
I don't like you.
Yeah. So maybe something Becky does pisses off Charlotte. Charlotte comes out and DQs Becky in this match here. Asuka retains, and then Becky looks for some revenge later, perhaps.
So I'm guessing we all got Asuka.
I've got Asuka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just way too soon.
Right.
Way too soon.
It's been a predictable card so far, but I think this is where it kind of takes a turn here, because I'm sure they'll do the Women's Royal Rumble next, and I know a lot of people had Charlotte as the odds-on favorite. I mean, let's just kind of go in the round here. Can y'all think of anybody who might win the Women's Royal Rumble right out of the gate here?
Other than Charlotte? No.
No? Okay.
I mean...
So you guys are giving Alexa Bliss no chance.
Oh.
Well, she did announce here, didn't she?
She's getting pushed.
Well, give us your take, Eddie. Let's hear what you got, man.
I mean, obviously, I think Charlotte. I mean, she's the favorite to win. Do we know if Becky Lynch has a chance to get into this match?
Well, that's what I'm thinking here too. Is if you have Becky Lynch have her match with Asuka early in the card, that frees her up to also be in the Royal Rumble match.
Right, because if she takes a loss to Asuka, then she could get into the Royal Rumble and possibly win it.
Right.
I would have those three: Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, or Charlotte Flair for chances to win.
No, those would be good. I mean, I could certainly see. Here's what I thought, and I think it's been a while since we've seen this angle, but I think it'd be interesting, and you can play it out one of two ways. You could have Alexa, Bliss, Charlotte, and Becky maybe be the last three.
That would be awesome.
And maybe Alexa goes out, and it's Charlotte and Becky, and they have a war for 10 minutes in the ring at the last part of the Royal Rumble, and they do a double elimination. So both have an equal say to the claim of having a championship shot, and maybe they talk it over and say, even though we're enemies, we both agree we both want to face Ronda at WrestleMania.
That'd be good.
Well,
you could have a double elimination, and we think that Alexa's already been eliminated, but she's not. And Alexa goes.
And Alexa wins.
And Alexa goes back to SmackDown.
Okay.
And
I mean,
you can still do promos to tie Becky Lynch and Charlotte back into the match with Ronda.
Okay, I'm gonna say traditionally Royal Rumbles, they don't necessarily offer too many surprises.
No.
But I'm gonna try and go for some dark horses I like personally here. I'm thinking, just for story wise, I mean, Ruby Riott, she's shown an ability to shoot a promo that, you know, can go any angle, and definitely show that go-getter heel type. And Ember Moon, and Ember Moon is just, I like Ember Moon.
Ember Moon would be pretty interesting because you could play up that angle to where maybe she faces Asuka. So
and no longer a sidekick, gonna do it for her, you know, for her people, you know, for her friends, and just kind of step up to the plate. I mean, it's about 50-50 on Royal Rumbles, but that's kind of my surprise picks where you could look at that crop of up and coming, wrestlers, and I want to see Mickie James last a long time, but that's for a different reason. But you know what I'm saying.
Interesting, J-Rock. Interesting take there.
Her wrestling skills.
Yeah.
She's a good wrestler.
She is a great wrestler.
That is very true. She is a great wrestler. That's true. Steven, any departing thoughts on the Women's Royal Rumble before we all have the image of Mickie James and Bergdorf?
We're off the rails.
We've gone off the rails.
So I want to also throw another dark horse in this match, and I want to go with Nikki Cross.
Oh, wow.
Me personally, not a big fan. However,
okay, explain.
However, she is just coming up to the main roster.
Oh, I like her though. I like her.
What better way?
I like her.
What better way to really get some heat or a big push into the main roster than when
I like her style. The character she did in NXT, I really like that style.
So nobody has Nia Jax then.
Well, I was going to say Nia Jax, but I didn't want to get into a fight. You know what I mean? I didn't want to. That's if you've seen the last episodes. You know what I mean? We're kind of divided.
I will not apologize for Nia Jax.
Neither will I. I refuse. I stand wholeheartedly on everything I've said about her.
Yeah. Here at Headlock Talk, we apologize when we mean it. I'm not apologizing if I don't mean it.
Yep, exactly.
I mean every word I've said about Nia Jax.
Nia.
So
J-Rod has your back.
Yeah, you just don't need to do that, man. You signed and locked your name to the wrong places. So let's see.
Did we get yours, Eddie? Who you think Alexa?
I mean, I gotta go with Charlotte, but I'd like to see. I'd like to see Alexa Bliss.
Interesting. Alexa's not a bad pick. I did not really see that one coming.
And she could pull the whole heel thing and hide.
Yep.
And straight mollywop somebody over that over that rope.
Yeah. It's a very good shout. I do like that pick.
Yeah.
Let me see here. We're coming up fast and furious here towards the end of the card. We've got the new Daniel Bryan versus the real AJ Styles, or at least that's how they've been adverting it recently.
That is kind of interesting that they're the same person, but
new and real.
Real, yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting. And AJ Styles actually has a very similar thing to Seth Rollins right now, where they wanted to see the real AJ Styles and the real Seth Rollins, right, and whatever. And it's kind of just a strange angle, in my opinion, because it's like they're trying to make it seem like they're going for this transformation, but nothing really changes. They're just kind of a little bit rougher and a little bit harder, but that's it.
And they're both weird in the sense that heel or face, they carry the same type of personality.
It's like the same demeanor.
And it works,
right.
but it's like the same person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really...
Just one's mad and one's not.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, even with Daniel Bryan being a heel, I mean, he's probably one of the most over people on SmackDown, if not the most over person on SmackDown.
He's over with me. I love Daniel Bryan.
Probably only withholding Becky Lynch here, you know.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan. I think that he takes it away here. They're going to have another great match like what they had at TLC, which was really, really special. They might even be able to top it here for this one, you know, since they've been doing this matches on the on the house show circuit for a while. I think they're going to pull off something really special here. This will probably open up the door, in my opinion, to doing Daniel Bryan versus one of two options, in my opinion. If we are correct in that Aleister Black comes up to the main roster, I think it's possible that maybe they'll give him a really big push on SmackDown, and Daniel Bryan will be cutting all these promos about what's wrong with the world and fickle, fickle this and you're fickle that, and fickle pickle. But eventually, Daniel Bryan, even for all of his calling out of people, even he has to answer to the devil. So I think that's where Aleister Black comes in.
That would be fantastic. Or have anything to say about that other than yes, please?
I also think that they could possibly spin it, because there's a certain Mr. Mustafa Ali who has been who has a pinfall victory over Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
And I think if you'd had the proper number one contendership match before WrestleMania, you could really play that up as part of the storyline. Hey, I've got a pinfall victory over you.
And I'll do it again.
Yeah. You used to call yourself the underdog.
Yeah.
I'm the underdog in this one here, and I've got a victory over you.
Yeah.
So any man can win on this day. And
see, I like both of those. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a huge Aleister Black fan, so I would love for the first scenario to happen. But Mustafa Ali, fantastic as well. So I think either one would be a really good match.
Both would be great.
Let me throw this at you guys. What do y'all think about? Daniel Bryan is most likely going to win, but what if Randy Orton came in and RKO'd out of nowhere AJ Styles and set that up for maybe WrestleMania?
Ooh, AJ versus Randy Orton.
Yes.
That's just top booking right there.
Yeah.
That's just, we don't even need a reason.
You could have
put him in the ring.
You could have one of those really cool shots where AJ goes up for the phenomenal forearm, he slings off the ropes, and then right into an RKO.
That would be awesome.
If you play the camera angles correctly, it could be like, oh man,
super balling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go conventional here, and I'm gonna say go against the curve here, and I'm gonna say AJ Styles wins.
Really?
Wow.
Because the electricity this could bring with a rematch at WrestleMania, maybe an Elimination Chamber match that is close, but AJ retains, and then we get the big build up to WrestleMania, and then maybe, post WrestleMania is always the fresh start, and then AJ Styles just carries that thing further, and Daniel Bryan, does something else or
I like that as
is
well.
in the mix.
So you would want to keep propping it up for another AJ Daniel Bryan match at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm making it a trilogy or a 4-fight. I just think this is a great, these are two great wrestlers, and this is a great feud. And Daniel Bryan's heel work is some of the best.
Yeah.
And people forget that some of his best work, and people forget that the yes chance came from his work as a heel with the no chance. He was so good as a heel that when he said no, people said yes.
Yep.
And it just generated so much heat that when he turned face, he just went with the yes.
Right.
So, he literally created a face movement that he ended up using as a face from his work as a heel. So he just, I find it hilarious how he gets people riled up. He starts talking about, GMO and health and food, and people go, boo!
Yeah.
And they just get, like, what do you think? Dude, he's literally trolling you, and you get, why are you offended?
Yeah.
But it's just great. It's just like he's
so wonderful.
He's wonderful. Yeah, he caricatures a heel, you know what I mean? Almost in a jokey way, but it's satirical, and people just bite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it's definitely a amplified.
Live, I probably bite too, though.
Yeah.
Because it's like seeing a comedy show, like, when a comedian tells his jokes to the live audience, it's like he's just talking to them.
Well,
so it's like when he gets like that, he just comes out of nowhere about this rant about consumerism, and it's like, what the...
but that really is who he is. Like, that's an amplified version of what Daniel Bryan really actually believes.
I love it.
Which is interesting. There was something funny I heard about. I know we mentioned some other podcasts earlier, but I remember hearing something about PETA being somewhat upset about Daniel Bryan because he's a vegan, but he has this belt made of leather.
Yeah.
And I think he made an offhand comment once, maybe this was a couple years back, that he would maybe re-strap the belt and make it made of hemp instead of leather. I think a hemp belt would be cool. An all-natural, organic, hemp, GMO-free belt.
Daniel Bryan, do this.
Hemp
That
belt.
would be insane.
Do it.
Hashtag hemp belt.
I just had a hemp gummy.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Do it.
So we've got 2 matches left here. Let's throw it as the men's Royal Rumble first.
Okay. This will be tough. This is a tough one.
This is gonna be.
It is tough.
This is tough.
So let's kind of run down the list here. We've got R-Truth, Drew McIntyre, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Seth Rollins, Jeff Hardy, Dean Ambrose, Bobby Lashley, Samoa Joe. John Cena was listed for the match.
He got hurt though.
Storyline, he got hurt. I don't know if he'll still be in it, but we'll wait and see. Elias, Baron Corbin, Jinder Mahal, Apollo Crews, Andrade. Used to be Andrade Cien Almas, but I guess they shortened his name now. We've got Mustafa Ali is in here, Rey Mysterio, Titus O'Neil, and Randy Orton. So those are the ones that are announced so far. Sounds like there's still a lot more room for other participants in this match, maybe some surprises. I would really like to see that. Guys, let's kind of go on the round, see what you think, how this is going to play out, what winners you have listed for this here. What do we think, guys?
I don't.
Does anybody stand out to you?
I'd like to
Drew
see.
McIntyre.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'd like to see, and it goes into our next prediction, but I'd like to see a McIntyre Baylor feud. That's something. It's a tough one. I'd like to see Lashley.
I'd like to see Mustafa.
Oh, I really like Lashley.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
That'd be
But
a really good
with who though? Vince not going to approve two small dudes.
If Mustafa Ali would probably go against Daniel Bryan, I would predict because the story would still be like, I've got a victory over you. I know I can beat you, even though I'm the underdog.
Yeah.
I've got that win under my belt.
Especially if Daniel Bryan does end up retaining the championship, that could definitely set that up.
True.
I almost feel like that's something they can do without Mustafa winning.
That's very true. Also, yeah.
Drew McIntyre could also have whatever his pickings are. I know that initially towards the beginning of the year, we're still at the beginning of the year, I guess, but there was a lot of discussion over whether or not it would be Drew McIntyre against Brock Lesnar for the title, or maybe Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman. I think that it could. Braun Strowman's not in the title picture anymore, but I think Drew versus Brock could be interesting for WrestleMania. Two big guys colliding in a mean guy match.
Two big guys.
There's a lot of beef for this
A lot of
round.
beef in this one. Damn it, Vince.
That was probably my favorite moment of Raw in a long, long time.
That is my favorite Vince McMahon quote of all time.
Just look around.
Because it sounds like he's.
Finn,
It sounds like he's
you think
making
you can
fun of
handle
himself.
all this beef?
It sounds like he's making fun of himself. But that was a real thing that he said on Raw.
Total caricature of himself.
Total.
Well,
I'm gonna say
okay.
Royal Rumbles typically, for the men specifically, are about that guy that goes in and earns it and sort of is trying to getting his coming of age. So I'd love to see Lashley get his coming of age at this one. I would love to. They've done a little run building him up, but the problem is, I think he just won a belt, didn't he?
Yeah, he's the current
Yeah,
Intercontinental
he just
champion.
won a belt. So
The almighty Bobby Lashley.
Almighty. The almighty Bobby Lashley. So there that goes.
So Steven,
Yes.
you're gonna go with Mustafa Ali,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mustafa Ali.
J-Raw.
This is a tough one.
I need your final pick.
I'm gonna have to say Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre.
Just because, he's a guy that can I mean, if you have a guy in there that can believably break, any, toss, person out of the ring, elimination record, plus has the mic skills and is already sort of in that next man up, mode, just go with it. I mean, I don't think it's not a model that's been broke. Mm-hmm. No need to fix it.
Yeah.
It's that's what I'm thinking. I mean, these things typically don't go the dream version way, which is why Reigns got so scrutinized for 2 years undeservedly. I'm not gonna rant, but yes.
Eddie, are you sticking with Drew?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with J-Raw on this one. It's looking like they're building up Drew McIntyre, so I mean, seeing him at WrestleMania, I mean, I'm not in favor of it, but I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, after much debate, I've thought about this for weeks, and I had to make a decision today. So here, I want to make it podcast official.
Uh-oh.
My pick for the Royal Rumble 2019 is R-Truth. No, I'm just
dance break.
No, I mean, for me, it can be none other than Seth Rollins. I think that this is the culmination of a year of hard work paying off. He's announced it. He's claimed it. I think that the plan was for a long time to make it him versus Brock, because you could tell a really good story there. But I really do think that Seth is going to be the one who's going to come out on top here with this match.
So with that pick, give me your last three. Who does he get up out of that box?
It'll be. I'm going to go with
McIntyre and Lashley.
Drew McIntyre.
Probably Drew McIntyre, and I'll. You could make it really fun and make it Drew McIntyre and Dean Ambrose, and make it two guys who he's had to kind of overcome over the last month, and get them both out.
Yeah.
Is Strowman not in the Rumble?
That's a good question. They took him off of the entire card, it seems. Now, I don't know if that means that he's not in the Rumble, because there's definitely not 30 participants here listed on the Wikipedia page. So it is possible that maybe Braun Strowman wins the Royal Rumble.
And I'm hearing, rumors that he's out of favor with management.
I mean, he had a really
he
ghastly...
destroyed the limo.
Yeah, he destroyed the limo. I was going to say, he had a really ghastly promo on Raw with Brock Lesnar a few weeks back, where he kind of muffed his lines.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Vince don't take to Vince to Bill Belichick when it comes to that, boy.
Yeah, so sometimes...
You want to become a jobber.
Yeah. I mean,
screw up your lines.
I mean, and I think that either way you cut it, if it's Seth that wins, you could really build it a good match between either of the next two gentlemen here, and what I think will probably be the main event, the closer of the night, Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor for the WWE Universal Championship. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation here, especially with the new shakeups and everything going on here. It's of my opinion, this is just my opinion, the last domino to fall if you're going to do a shakeup would be to take the title off of Brock Lesnar. That would be really shaking things up here. I think that ultimately you can still have Brock be at WrestleMania, and I think a Finn Balor victory here would not only be great for the fans, but I think it would build and also a really good match with lots of intangibles, with Seth Rollins making it a callback to the first Universal Championship match that we ever had.
Now, one thing I'll say, like you said in the beginning, looking at this card, there is a ton of predictability. Now, one thing I will say with the writing, with what Vince has done and WWE has done, whenever this happens, something huge happens.
Yeah.
And so, for that, I'm excited. But yes, I think this is the time to take the belt from Lesnar. And Balor has so many options for competitors, that it's time that belt becomes full time.
You get a refresh here.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with y'all. My opinions of Brock Lesnar are no secret.
No.
I'm not a fan.
They're actually very clearly public record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that being said,
No secret and pretty clear.
With AEW coming out soon, and they need to push Finn Balor if they want to keep him.
Yeah.
And so with him winning the Universal title for a second time, I think that would definitely go a long way in cementing him in WWE. And then I just want to see Brock Lesnar lose because I don't like him.
Well, there's that.
There's that.
There's that.
So Eddie, give us your takes here on this here. What do you think is going to happen here in this match?
This match I'm on the fence about because a lot of people are saying Brock Lesnar is actually going to win and retain the title.
Yep.
Go on to WrestleMania. So,
yep.
Obviously, I want the shakeup. I want Finn Balor.
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense.
I think so too.
From a fan standpoint, absolutely.
But I don't understand why this is a shakeup. A freaking part-timer has held the belt for longer than
Vince
I can
loves
remember after taking this hemp gummy.
Yeah, no,
Thank you for saying that.
But see, Eddie brings a good point though. Vince loves Brock Lesnar, and for some reason, even though Vince loves his money more, for whatever reason, he loves giving it to Brock.
He does.
That's his Tony Romo for Jerry Jones.
It is.
And Brock loves taking that money.
Yeah.
I would too.
So here's the thing. Either way you cut it, Brock winning here, I could totally see it happening.
I unfortunately can as well.
Yeah, he would, but he especially picked out this match because he says he's been wanting to work with Finn Balor for a long, long time.
That's nice.
And I think it makes sense if you had Brock versus Braun again. I think you have another one of these slower big guy matches where if you have a smaller guy like what we've seen previously, I can name all three names right now: Brock versus CM Punk, Brock versus AJ Styles, and Brock versus Daniel Bryan. All which have happened within the last decade. All of those matches were really good because they were a smaller guy who could run and jump and bounce off of Brock and really.
Didn't you mention Brock possibly if Seth Rollins? What about that?
Yeah, Brock versus Seth would be a great match too. I think Brock versus Seth at WrestleMania would have a lot of great storyline going into it as well. There's obviously the callback to Seth gave Brock the curb stomp at 31 when he cashed in Money in the Bank and did the heist of the century. So there's an unfinished story there. I think that there's also the story of I like that. Did y'all ever catch that UFC fight? It was Brian Ortega taking on Max Holloway.
I believe so.
A few months back. It was a great fight. And I really liked the build-up because it pitted Max Holloway, who is this champion who's faced adversity throughout his career, who he fought a beast of a man and Jose Aldo to win the title, just like what Finn Balor would have to do with Brock Lesnar here, against a guy who's coming off one of the biggest years of his career, just like Brian Ortega did in Seth Rollins, who's coming off of one of the biggest years of his career. Those two colliding would make a great match. But again, you've got a lot of backstory and storytelling you do with Seth and Brock at the same time. So my head says Brock, my heart says Finn. It's really close. Yeah.
I'm thinking Finn here, man. It's great writing, like you said, from climbing that mountain. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, that this would be the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, on this shakeup. What better way to shake up than to, shake it up. Shake it up.
It's the last domino to fall.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think we all agree.
Good deal. Well, gentlemen, any final thoughts on the Royal Rumble card here? Anything that you would like to see, or anything that? I'm surprised nobody said Kenny Omega as a surprise entrant. Nobody wanted to name Kenny.
One can only hope,
going
but
to
I
AEW.
Going to
mean,
AEW?
if-
Okay. No,
if that were to
no
happen-
one match, one night
No.
kind of deal.
I would love
No,
it,
That'd be
but
great, right?
it would
That
not
would-
happen.
that would
Yeah,
be
it's
a
not gonna happen.
$1.5 million match, bro.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey,
A
man.
$1.5 million
He gets paid,
spot.
he gets paid. If
Yeah.
He gets paid, he gets paid. That's what I say, okay.
I would love to see.
Well, I'm just saying the
That's a
cost.
surprise. I can't even say that. With a
The
straight
cost
face.
to just show his face would be
what
exorbitant.
if number 30 comes out, we think it's R-Truth's music plays, and then the spotlight goes there, and it's just R-Truth laying on the ground, and then the arena goes black out, and then the lights come back on, and it's Kenny.
Kenny
See,
Omega.
it'd be funny
Oh,
if
that
Kenny
would be
Omega was
so
dressed up as R-Truth.
But it, but that would be,
Dance
a dance break. But that, like I said, that would have to be proof of a signing. But like I said, with writing this potentially predictable, I'm excited to see the unpredictability because again, one thing Vince and WWE are good at is when you think they, you know what they're about to do something
Right.
completely different.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Well, and they're all about people power now, so let's see them listen to the fans and see what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they better be because AEW.
It's
It's
around
coming.
the corner, man. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, WWE.
So is everybody excited about this year's Royal Rumble? Or
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah.
Both cards this weekend, NXT and Royal Rumble, are going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
They're both really, really good.
Yeah. Definitely coming up on a really nice weekend.
And I'm excited to see this sandwich. I really hope that they put that they pan the camera over this Royal Rumble sandwich that they're having at
Give me
TV.
some kind of shout out.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited, man. This is gonna be interesting.
The sandwich or the Rumble?
The Rumble.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, match of the weekend's gonna be Brock Lesnar, Finn Balor. I'm calling it.
Okay.
Brock versus Finn's match of the weekend.
Okay. Okay.
I'm personally gonna go with Ricochet Gargano's match of the weekend.
Right on. That's definitely gonna be a good one.
I like Oscar Becky Lynch.
Eddie?
Eddie?
I'll go with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles.
Right
Oh,
on.
good
My
pick.
man.
All four really good matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good pick.
You can't go wrong with any of them.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
All right.
Eddie, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, sir. When will we hear from you again?
Thank you guys for having me. I can come on when you guys have reviewing pay-per-views. We can throw out our predictions. I'm a fan of the show.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
Maybe
you.
next week when we do a recap of the Royal Rumble and NXT shows, maybe we'll give you a call and see what you're doing. Do you want to plug anything real quick, like your Twitter page or Facebook or anything like that?
The only person I want to plug right now is Jay Raw. I put him on the podcast. I'm responsible for him and his career, so that's it.
We about to get a famous Dex Soldier Boy situation here to our audience that knows how that went down. About to have my fists up on the audio podcast.
Jay Raw's turning heel on us.
Oh man, I've seen this coming for quite some time now.
They've been building it.
Tanner and Stephen, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, sir.
Yes,
Nice
sir.
meeting you, and we'll definitely have to have you back on the show very, very soon to give us a
Definitely.
recap on this. Okay.
Yes, all right. Thanks, Eddie. Goodbye. Have a good evening.
Good night, Eddie.
All right.
All right,
Y'all take
peace.
care.
Peace.
Gentlemen, any final thoughts for the evening? Any final predictions, wish lists, anything else that you want to get off your chest before we close out tonight?
I can't wait. This week is going to be great. There's a lot of good wrestling coming up.
One thing I wanted to cover, if Rhonda is going to take a break here, which is respectable and understandable, completely understand. Having a history in golf and my background being in golf, I remember when Lorena Ochoa stepped away and actually retired for...
No, I'm sorry. That was rude of me. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
She stepped away. If you guys know her, great golfer. Stepped away at the height of her powers to raise a family.
Oh.
And it was just an amazing thing. But if this is to be her swan song, at least for, a while here after WrestleMania, maybe a year or so, because she is signed a long time, she's starting to understand the tradition of wrestling and her work, where she talked about how she's starting to see the true colors of Sasha and went on a lengthy Instagram post just calling it out, is what wrestling's all about. And I'm glad she's starting to get that stupid look off your face. But I'm glad she's starting to get it a bit and starting to, and I think, where should she get extended, and, when she comes back from her hiatus, or potential hiatus, I just think I look forward to seeing the growth.
For sure.
Because it's coming along.
Yeah, so. Definitely. And you can already see that now.
Yeah.
She's already come a long way, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm certainly excited for this weekend. We've got 2 great events going on here.
Definitely.
Peace and love, everybody. We appreciate you guys listening to episode 4 of Headlock Talk.
Episode 4.
Again, you can
full sequence.
You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
And don't mind sharing. If you know a wrestling fan, definitely hit them up with a link to one of our sources there, either iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or YouTube. Any feedback's always appreciated. Or, of course, if you have listener questions, we would love to hear from you guys. Hit us up at headlocktalk@gmail.com. Again, it's headlocktalk@gmail.com.
All one word, all lowercase.
Or whatever, man. I mean, this is all cool. Yeah, we would certainly love to hear from you guys as listeners. Maybe we'll do some live tweeting or some live social media during the Royal Rumble and see what you guys think. Maybe look out for some polls of ours. So, alright, well, guys.
Thank you all for listening.
And all I have to say is, Stephen, take us away.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you listening. Thank you for choosing Headlock Talk, and y'all have a wonderful Royal Rumble weekend.
Let's see if we can make Stephen run out of breath.